Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to the next big idea. An incredible journey of innovation, passion, and game-changing ideas. Let's see what this team brings to the table.
Hello everyone, my name is Varun and I'm here with my stint, which is Algo-Economists. Our startup is on the base of environment, corporate, environment, social and governance. What we are planning to do is making our water bodies blue again. Okay, so what you see on the right hand side of the slide would be a very filthy image of what you must have encountered by your childhood. We call it algae in the scientific term. There are several names in Hindi or Marathi. In Marathi it's called as gar. It's that slimy substance which usually comes when your water is very stagnant. You might be wondering how would this revolutionize the world of corporate ESG, and I'll show you how. Okay, let's look at the problem. COP27 just happened. We had enormous amount of experts who were talking about we want to make our planet greener. Our company is going to have a net zero policy, which means our company is neither going to emit zero amount of NOx or COx gases. So is it actually happening? Does even India's pledge of coming to net zero by 2050 is not imaginable as of now. So what is the problem? The company officials who want to comply don't have a responsible on-spot solution to maintain their emissions. Second thing, every government official who is working in the department wants to ensure his or her citizen is having the accessibility of a good hygienic water to take forward their basic purposes. CSO is a new term which the environmental industry has recently envisaged into the corporate table, which stands for Chief Sustainability Officer. As a Chief Sustainability Officer of your company, an officer always wants to ensure that his company is always into the green profile and isn't being greenwashed as some company who is just trying to portray that it is green to capture the market. Okay, now what does our solution give? Our solution harnesses algae's potential in order to curb all the effluents, which is the gaseous emissions, at the same time the water nutrient runoffs, which a factory generates while producing manufacturing goods. And while it does that, it grows algae and oxygenates the water. Give me a minute to explain you why algae. You might think when we have technologies like ion trap technology, reverse osmosis, UV and UF, why is someone coming up with this idea of turning an entire industry with the motive of making everything biomimicking? So a simple fact which I would like to say, 75% of the atmospheric oxygen which you breathe come from algae. It is macroalgae or microalgae. You might wonder how. 79% of the earth is water, and whatever you have under the earth bed is this organism which is making Earth's life possible. Let's move on to the next slide and encounter why exactly clean water when 71% of the earth is completely water filled. We have ample amount of water if you want. But these are some of the World Bank reports which were recently collected and that show the horrendous situation we might face if the water which we are currently discharging into the water bodies isn't treated at point source. We are not talking about treating them after they have gone by taking out drives such as cleaning your rivers and stuff, but what concrete decision makes happen when you clean them at source. Let's suppose there's a factory. It is generating 1,500 liters of wastewater every day, and you are discharging it directly into the water bodies which are of billions and trillions of liters, which you don't even imagine. What is happening is, if you would have curbed this emission right at the point source, you wouldn't have been having the headache of treating your entire water bodies. And this is where our solution comes in. What our solution is a plug-in model where an industry has a tank feeder right into the basement of the company, where your entire water emissions, at the same time gaseous emissions, are filled into an alga culture. Just to explain you what an alga culture is, it's a tank where you have an algae medium which can grow. Algae, as we all know, is green in color. It has chlorophyll. And as we all have been studied, this is the magical process which converts carbon dioxide into oxygen, at the same time converts harmful nutrients into something meaningful green matter. To run after the previous facts, on your right hand side you will see on the bottommost, that is a 2000 report, the year 2000, when the estimates of Reuters were calculating it would take $10 billion to ensure there will be a safe drinking water for all of the human organisms. When we go across to 2017, the number has increased to 150 billion. The thing is not about the number or the multiple by which it has grown. Do we have to be so reluctant by industry and by personal consumption of water that a chunk of our GDP has to go in to just purify water? Our one-third amount of economic growth can be stunted if we don't focus on water. Take steel, cement. India produces the largest number of it. If you want steel and cement to prosper, water is an important element for the industry to prosper. And if it doesn't happen, the entire world economy will come collapsing. Ultimately, because it is the main asset to make things work. It is the showrunner for the world. Next slide, please. Coming right onto it. Our concept envisages a standalone system, which can be, an industry can set it up in the entire factory landscape. Let's suppose you have a physical structure of a factory where you have a manufacturing plant. At the same area, you can have our solution where your entire emissions will be calculated, curbed, and the air which you put out as toxic gases will be eliminated, and the water which comes out will be completely treated. So as a company, why should I give a thing about it? I mean, I should focus upon maintaining my P&L. I should be caring about what my investors have to say. And all I should care is about making profits. So, okay, the COP28 encouraged each industry from the European Union to file their carbon filings, which means you have to take account of everything. And let me tell you what's everything. We have scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. Scope 1 emissions account for the amount of energy and emissions that you've used to manufacture your product. Scope 2 accounts for the emissions that you have occurred for the services you have output. For example, Tata doesn't designs and does everything by themselves. They do outsources things. So even the things that you outsource comes into your carbon profile. And the third thing which comes is scope 3 emissions. I might sound vague, but this is what the framework has been designed. So your employee coming to your office, right from your home to your car, will be considered in a company profile of filing carbon taxes. What has the government done? There's something known as green loans. So again, this has been implemented in the European Union, which means if you are an environmentally compliant company, you would get subsidized loan. Second thing, let's suppose I'm a brand, I sell shoes. The consumer of today's date is getting woke about everything, right? From the where are you animal PETA certified, from where are you outsourcing your materials and everything. Everyone wants to know the nitty-gritty of it. And in terms, let's suppose a fashion brand comes out and puts out itself as a core fashion thing versus someone who delivers fashion, but at the same time puts a positive impact on the environment. This is something your USP could change as a fashion industry. So at the end goal, what we are providing is not just solutions for factories to curb their emissions, but at the same time at Algo Economist, we are here to provide you a framework to calculate your emissions, to manage your sheets, at the same time manage end-to-end environment compliance produced by the government. Again, carbon credits and nutrient credits is something a bit technical term. So a carbon credit is issued when your activity absorbs 1000 kilograms of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This is the unit which will be used. We use rupee for monetary transaction. Carbon credits would be the one we use for environmental transaction. And nutrient credits is if you purify or you desalinate water is what you get. Market and opportunity, we have took India's market as of now because we know there is a very big SMEs and MSMEs which require this. And we have to cater and tailor this according to their needs. You go out to the European and US market, compliances there are different. But when you see the Indian market, business are built on frugality. If you tell them to change their supply chain, logistics and management, they won't give a damn about it unless and until it's the very brink of it. Businesses are made this way. Let's just accept it. So what do we need to do is to cater the Indian audience. And 90% of India's industry depends upon clean, accessible water. You start from agriculture, you start from steel, cement, which India is leading in today's date. When we go up on the service addressable market, which is what is the thing which we can target in today's date, are the companies which have ESG in their portfolio. So this is the tech. We provide end-to-end solutions. We remove all of your nutrients, effluents and emissions. We provide you carbon credits and everything. At the same time, we make your profile greener. We have chartered accountants for money. You'll have sustainability officers for your emissions. With algae-based systems, you don't need energy to power this system. You don't need outside chemicals because your effluents are already polluted with nutrients. And this is how this system is a very sustainable system for an industry to maintain its emissions. What do we plan on to next would be our pilot project with the help of a tannery industry. We are very specific onto this because the tannery industry effluents are the richest in nutrients. And with the help of them, we can grow our algae and understand what pressure, humidity and stuff are required for this thing. And the business model, so concluding things with this, which is, let's suppose a factory, in a factory landscape, if there is a factory, we would earn by the infrastructure that we develop, we would earn by the maintenance that it would require. That means the algae has to be cleaned out and then provided further. Again, this might sound very vague, but the algae industry is a $21 billion industry if we remove the consumables. So coming to the way how this plan would be implemented as in a business way, how we are going to earn money from this, that would be the establishment of the alga plant, which is the infrastructure one-time cost, which we will be recurring to the industry. Second thing would be maintenance, which would be happening every weekly once or twice, depending upon the volume of wastewater generated. Then outselling of the carbon and nutrient credits, this would be something which will be issued under our name or the company's name, for which we can charge and earn money from that. So we can sell nutrient credits the same way a stock is sold in the stock markets. It is fluctuating prices depending upon the market demand. The harvested algae can be used as a fertilizer and a domestic fuel, which means it can be burned for energy. At the same time, it's based upon nutrients, so it can be used as fertilizer. And the raw material to the non-consumables part of the $21 billion alga industry, which is untapped, as in there is no organized player, and we might emerge as one if we properly harvest as well as set up a supply chain for the dry harvested algae. Next slide. So that's me, Varun Sangvi, who's working upon this. Our research mentors are Ashish Bhatnagar and Monica Bhatnagar. Those are PhD into algae microbiology. So yeah, this is what we've been working upon. Thank you.
So, yeah, I have quite a few questions. So, just tell me in 10 to 15 words, how does the money flow? आप किससे पैसे लोगे, आपका खर्चा कहाँ पे हो रहा है, and how does your customer pay for this, and what is the benefit to your customer?
Okay, how do I actually make money? As soon as the algae is harvested, that serves as a raw material, which is my first revenue generating source. Second thing, which is the selling of nutrients and carbon credits in a regulated market. This will be the continuous flow of money which I would be getting. Fluctual money, which depends upon the infrastructure that we build, would be upon the establishment of the.
So who is your customer over here?
My customers are the industry who use water and put out a lot of emissions, which is the cement industry, tannery industry, coal fire plant industries.
So that's your B2B customer.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any
and B2G?
Okay, and do you have any other kind of customer, because you're telling that you also have an output of your algae?
Yeah, but under this enterprise, we don't focus upon it. You mean the harvested algae? Oh yeah, definitely. Harvested algae would be sold, as I said, through various channels depending upon the raw material of the respective industry. Let's suppose if we have biodegradable foam, which is the EPA foam which we use in shoes, we have a separate market where alga is required. At the same time, bioplastics and stuff like that. So, majoring focus would be bioplastics.
So what I understand is you collaborate with industries, you set up algae generation plants at their water output is there, and you use that algae, you sell that algae to some XYZ manufacturer who has a algae as a raw material input.
Yeah, at the same time we help companies.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But on the transaction side, that is what is happening.
Money generation, yeah.
So the cost of setting up the plant, who is bearing it?
The one who owns the factory.
So that means your industrial partner.
Yeah.
So the B2B side of it is going to pay for it. So what is the expected return on investment and how much will it cost to set up a?
Okay, an algae plant, including all the investment, which is of 1,500 liters in today's date, would cost about 15 lakh rupees.
Okay, and how much time will it take for him to get that money back?
For him to get that, again, I would just like to throw some light upon it. For him to get money back won't be a thing factor because he has to comply. If he doesn't comply with it, there will be carbon taxes which will be levied upon it. So this is more or less like a regulationary thing which he has to comply with.
So what are the alternatives? How is the industry doing this right now?
So this industry which is currently trying to do with, as I said, it is completely chemical process and the reverse osmosis process, which is the biological one. Reverse osmosis process takes a little bit of time and the output is very low. Reverse osmosis is corely the RO-UV plant which you have at your house, and you know, on a very core level basis, for every glass to filter, you have to waste 2 glasses of water. As in, there is not a lot of efficiency. The second thing, which is chemical thing, you deteriorate the water content. There might be loads of arsenic running out into the water. There is high chlorination happening. At the same time, the oxygen level is deteriorating. The water profile is changing. Although you claim to be putting out clean water into the atmosphere, technically it is not. Not every transparent material would be clean water.
So what you're saying is that by using your process, you will be replacing all possible or other, a large chunk of whatever current processes are.
To add to it, yeah, most of the chunks would be replaced by our product. Again, 95% rate, I can assure you. Still, we need to do one more check. Before putting it out directly into the water bodies, there needs to be a UV screening of it. As in, if there are any germs or microbes present, they need to be killed. That's it.
Okay, so but then the algae that you're using is capable of dealing with any kind of chemical coming out of any kind of factory.
Absolutely.
So when he asked you about return on investment, right, the other way you could answer that would be, since the B2B, your customer is paying you to set up that infrastructure to get your algae moving right there, you could tell them that, okay, this is the amount that they could save in carbon taxes if they do this rather than the reverse osmosis that they're carrying out right now, or if they do not have any process in place. Because any company today is saying 15 lakhs, that too for a very small amount of water. For any tannery industry, or for that matter your power industry, uses water on a very higher level than the numbers that you're specifying right now. Right? So if you just go on and on, it will not grow. The cost will not grow linearly. After a point, it will become exponential, and the company in front might not even get the logic as to why do I need this plant.
Okay.
Right? So you can just get those numbers out. Now it might be possible that since the policies are not very well in place, you do not have a very clear picture that, okay, how much is the carbon tax, right? But today's, what is the point that CAs sell on? That, okay, if you do, let's say, these 5 investments, you could save 5 lakh rupees in taxes, and you're also getting this return.
Okay.
This would be a similar method that you'd have to introduce to your customer as well, that this is your first investment, and through this is on the good side. On your annual report, this will look good that, okay, you've saved this much carbon emission and this is the amount of algae that you're generating and all of that. And second thing be, since they are paying for the infrastructure, they would also want a share in what are you earning from selling that algae.
Okay.
Because if they are paying, why should you be the one earning? So you'd say, no, I'm doing the maintenance. That doesn't matter. Why does an investor want return? Because he has put in the money that you did not have on day one.
Okay.
Right? So you'd have to figure out that model as well. Rest apart, in terms of your presentation, the only suggestion that I'll have would be, you've explained the problem very well. You've explained that, okay, you understand algae and everything surrounding that very well. But how did your solution come in? What is it exactly? What is the tech there? Because right now I don't think we've spoken about the tech a lot, because you're also experimenting on that. But once you have a clear picture, make sure to introduce that. And in your business model, make sure you introduce who gets what, who pays what, ultimately who's benefited in what ways.
Okay.
Including taxes, including environment, including the AGM reports of the company, and including your revenue.
Sure.
And to add to what she said, so when I asked you what is the return on investment, it does not mean how much more money will the person who's putting it get. It could also be in terms of if your solution is more expensive or less expensive, and what is the delta. If it is less expensive, then why is it going to be cheaper? Yeah, why is it going to be cheaper than what they are currently using, if it it is true.
Okay, I have one suggestion for you. So, see, in your presentation there are a lot of words, knowledge, right? But my suggestion would be to include pictures, right? A picture says 1,000 words or
Yeah.
so my suggestion is that you prepare one block diagram of your solution, so that you can present it to the investors that this is the process, this is the whole process that I am going to have, and if possible you can make a small scale model of that, right? So that they have a clear idea that this particular plant is going to come into my industry and this is going to work like that. So they have a clear picture with that model and they have a clear idea with your block diagram, right? So in this way you can have a higher impact on the investors. So
I'll definitely include it.
yes, that is my suggestion for you.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Thanks all
So
the
guys, thank you for your time.
And now it's time for judges' opinion about the pitch. So, it was a good one.